I think he's going to cry. Do you think he was going to cry?
On a day when the stories are Trump puts Elon on a leash, Tesla facing protests across the country, Kudlow is like, how do you do it all? He freezes for like 8 seconds and he goes, with great difficulty. Hey everybody, welcome back to Speech Center. We've got a ton to highlight from the past week, including tariffs, a censure, and as of this recording, a potential government shutdown. Joining us as always is Tim Miller. Tim, you're like Jordan playing sick.
I am kind of like Jordan in that way when it comes to content. People say that I'm the Jordan of centrist political content, anti-Trump, cuckolded political content. It's a niche kind of Jordan, but I'm a Jordan.
Free markets, former libertarian, current pro-democracy, Michael Jordan, Tim Miller. On today's show, we will check in with Al Green. We'll check in with some of Speech Center's favorite recurring characters, including Stephen Miller and Dark Magda himself. Up first, let's go to Al Green, who gives us an impassioned speech on why he stands by what he did at Trump's joint address.
Medicaid is the only insurance many people have in this country. I am blessed. As I stand here now, there's a physician waiting. If something should happen, I will be taken to that physician. I have the best health care in the world. There are other people who have less than I. I would have them have what I have. But I surely will not stand by and see them lose what little they do have. This is the richest country in the world. Mr. Musk has doctors. He will get the best health care. Let him understand that he should be on my side. He should be on the side of the people who need this health care. He has the ear of the president. Tell him that Medicaid ought not be cut.
We don't need to do a full round on was Al Green right or wrong, but his message was Medicaid. And I like it.
Al Green is knocking the socks off of the Never Trumpers over at the Bulwark.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, me and Bill Kristol were just like waving our panties and throwing them at Al Green. It was a sight you never thought you'd behold, back when, he was killing Hillary Care. But things have changed. All we're looking for is somebody to scream out to the world, this is wrong, these guys are bad, and they must be stopped. And if Al Green is the guy that we've got to follow into battle, then Al Green it will be. And it goes back to something we've talked about on past podcasts, one of my views, which is Democrats need to do shit that people that don't watch Speech Center will consume.
Yes.
And I do think that Al Green achieved that.
Next up, we go to Stephen Miller on Fox News, who blames a potential government shutdown entirely on the Democrats, even though they control nothing.
Well, it just shows you that Democrats don't have a vision for this country, don't have a vision for the future. They've become totally radicalized, and all they have to offer is unthinking, unfeeling, angry, senseless opposition. And so now you have President Trump putting forward what's known as a continuing resolution. It's basically a clean government funding bill. What does that mean? It means it just freezes current funding. So it adds no new spending, it creates no new programs, it doesn't have any new slush funds. It just says we're going to continue current spending while we work on a budget plan for next year, and that's when you can implement all of the new reforms. Anytime a clean government funding bill has been on the table, government has been funded. So if Democrats are going to try to shut the government down over a clean funding bill, it would just demonstrate that they've become as hopelessly Marxist and crazy as we all know they've become by watching their behavior.
It is remarkable to hear Stephen Miller make a full-throated case for continuing resolutions, which I can't say if it's responsible for every recent shutdown the Republicans have caused, but I think probably. Is that right? What do you think?
Yeah, not every single one, but a lot of them. There have been Republicans that wanted to actually fund the government properly. It starts with like a nub of a truth and then just gets deformed into something horrific. And then eventually it like looks like Stephen Miller's face. And, the reality here is like, this is horrible TV. I mean, we have like this British multimillionaire, Steve Hilton, one of America's worst imports, like laughing at DC Gollum as he rants about how Democrats are just opposed to everything Trump wants to do.
There's an intra-democratic argument right now. Do we fight Trump at every turn, given that he is an authoritarian thug using and abusing the powers of his office? Or, as some of the more centrist Democrats from swing districts say, do we prove that we can work with Trump on a few things to demonstrate we're reasonable and choose our battles? Democrats and Republicans in the Senate are negotiating actively on something they want to pass, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like the ugly reconciliation bill, which is going to be the tax cuts for billionaires to pay for Medicaid cuts or whatever, Social Security cuts. Like that to me is like, that's the fight. And then I find myself saying this and I worry, like, I feel this sort of conflict. And then I say to myself, Jon, what the fuck are you talking about? They are destroying the government. You do not work with these fucking people. The politics will shake out how the politics shake out. How could you ever vote for anything? What are you getting for your vote? If they want your vote, they have to get something from you. Yes. What are you getting? You're not getting a fucking thing. Yes. I vote no.
Feed that wolf inside you.
I'm trying.
Feed that dark wolf inside of you. Love it.
All right, let's go to Senator Tommy Tuberville, who shows off his stock market expertise on Fox Business and how Trump's tariffs will bring the balance we all desperately need.
President Trump has told people there's going to be a little bit of pain with this, and there is. That's fine. You know, the stock market's gone up and down before. It'll come back. But when we start doing these tariffs somewhere around 1st of April where everybody's got to be on the same level, I think it'll start leveling out. And the only problem you have with these tariffs, there's always a scoreboard, and that's going to be the stock market. And people are looking at the stock market like, hey, this is how it's going to continue to be for months and months and months. That's not going to happen. You know, we were probably overbloated with the stock market here for a while. We went up quite a bit. But at the end of the day, it's about fairness. It's about having fair tariffs, everybody on the same page. And again, President Trump has put together a smart group of people that understand a lot about the dollar, a lot about foreign currency, all the things that are going on. At the end of the day, it's all going to work out, and it's going to work out better for the United States of America.
That really sounds like the kind of thing he is saying to concerned constituents. Like, that felt like a direct answer from somebody grabbing him at the airport in Huntsville or something. And Tim, what do you think the reaction would have been if Trump and all his acolytes had said in October, just want everybody to know that the stock market is too high. This is a bubble. And when I get in, oh boy, it's going to come down, because that's exactly what the doctor ordered.
You know, a little bit of pain. I don't remember that at the Madison Square Garden rally. I don't think a little bit of pain was on the menu.
There was never a sense that to get prices down, we're going to have to first rattle global markets and put on taxes that jack prices of everything. Jason Furman, who was an economist and who was a economic advisor in the Obama White House, he made this point, which is a good one. If the consensus is that what we're experiencing is necessary temporary pain on the path to economic growth, the stock market goes up. When people think things are going to get better at the end of temporary pain, the market goes up. The market is not going up, even on their own terms. Let's say you agreed, look, with J.D. Vance, who's the intellectual Zamboni for the Trump administration, and he's like, our plan is you create economic incentives through tariffs to build manufacturing in America. Building a new factory takes a decade. Hey, you know what, Tim? I was going to build a new car plant in Vietnam, but there were these tariffs on for 48 hours, and it really freaked me out. So I'm now going to spend the next 10 years building a car plant in Ohio because of this crazy week we just had.
This is the thing that frustrates me the most about this whole thing. I do just want to shake rich people. People that are not engaged or that have their own issues or cultural issues or who are suffering from inflation. Okay, I get it. Rich people fucking knew. He told them what he was going to do. This was his agenda.
People with millions and millions of dollars complaining about federal taxes are fully sick. And I am fully Bernie pilled on the fact that this is a form of addiction. Like, at least when, back when Tim was a Republican, the Republicans understood that if you wanted to cut taxes for rich people, you couldn't have it at the same time as you were privatizing Social Security. You had to do it in 2 steps because it was so morally reprehensible and politically unpalatable. You first had to starve the beast. You first had to cut the taxes for the rich people, create the deficits, and then go to the country and say, we must tighten our belts. Now Trump is doing them at the same time, which I don't think I've ever seen before. Literally at the same moment, they are trying to figure out how to cut taxes for rich people by $1 trillion while cutting Medicaid by $800 billion.
Did you say $1 trillion in the cuts?
Well, it's one trillion up.
Yeah, you've been fooled by the MAGA economists. It's really like $4.5 trillion.
2 of the trillion were tax cuts that Biden himself would have
also
extended.
Got it.
So it is fully $1 trillion that goes to basically millionaires.
Got it. Okay.
I was a serious person once in my life, but not now. Anyway, I think we can move on. Hey everybody, Speech Center is brought to you by Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. A lot of people at Crooked are using the Lumen, and it's a way to kind of gamify if you're eating right, if you're hitting the goals you want to hit. Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into the fuel that keeps you going. Because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, and more. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/speech to get 20% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/speech for 20% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Finally, we go to Elon Musk on the very same program. Elon talked to Kudlow about cutting Social Security, Medicare, and entitlement spending. And then Kudlow also asked him how he's running all of these companies all at once while also leading a government agency. Let's take a look.
The wage support in entitlement spending, which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. That's like the big one to eliminate, because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year. That is also a mechanism by which the Democrats attract and retain illegal immigrants by essentially paying them to come here and then turning them into voters.
How are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean...
But there's no turning back, you're saying?
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress, actually.
Look, first of all, he is trying to say that they're going to cut all this fraud. Now, as you may have noticed from the joint address that looked like a State of the Union but was just a joint address to Congress, Trump lies about the amount of fraud in Social Security with this fabricated idea that all these people over 100 and over 200 are getting Social Security benefits. That's completely made up. The other big lie in there is undocumented immigrants are sucking tax dollars from hardworking American citizens and using them for services and healthcare. That is false. Undocumented immigrants actually pay a bunch of taxes that they can never recoup because they never get Social Security. And they don't get Medicare. So they actually fund our system.
This is a bigger lie, I guess, that is even in there about the illegal immigrants and the voting. People that are not citizens cannot vote. So, no, the Democrats aren't bringing them in because they want to create voters. But here's the thing. Even in their fabricated world, we're like, this is all part of some big plot by George Soros and the Pod Save America guys and George Clooney to bring in people from Honduras to vote for Democrats. It would be a bad plot because new immigrants actually went more for MAGA this time. Like Elon are acting like it's all these evil leftists that are coming in when they're like accidentally getting these people's votes without even trying to do so. Like the whole thing is, it's just lies upon lies, like a Russian nesting doll of lies. I'd like to talk about the funnier part of the clip.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the funnier part of the clip.
I think he's gonna cry. Do you think he was gonna cry?
I think that he is his brain chemistry was in a little bit of a no man's land, you know?
Yeah.
And so he kind of freezes up. But it's an incredible question to ask somebody on the day their stock price has, I don't know how much it fell.
I think it was down to 5, 10, 15% that day. And it was down a lot.
On a day when the stories are Trump puts Elon on a leash, Tesla facing protests across the country, Kudlow is like, how do you do it all? He freezes for like 8 seconds and he goes, with great difficulty.
And then Kudlow like follows up and asks him how much he sacrificed. Again, it's like it could not be more solicitous. Kudlow is just like really trying to like lick the bottoms of his feet with these questions, and Elon is still struggling to answer them. It's like another long pause, and you can see him either the brain chemistry, as you mentioned, is moving slowly and it's hard to get to an answer, or I'd like to think possibly he's thinking wistfully about the great life that he had 3 years ago before his brain was broken by Twitter, when, you know, he had just 11 children and 3 baby mamas. And he's like, he's never getting that back. And then he kind of just gives like, well, I just care about government efficiency. It's like, really? Really? Is that really why you're here? Because you just care so deeply about making sure that the United States government is running as efficiently as possible? Your actions don't really betray that. Like randomly bleeding that Mark Kelly, who served this country and was an astronaut, is a traitor, and you're like, you're attacking the Poles as being, you know, the Polish defense minister is a small man, and you're like retweeting random Nazis. Like, it doesn't seem like government efficiency was really what motivated you. But I'm hopeful. Maybe this is wrong to hope, Lovett. Maybe this is the resistance porn you don't like to do here. But is it possible that he could be the character in all these stories that we've read over the years that is just like starting to realize that he bit off a little more than he can chew, and that things are starting to crumble around him, that he's got 2 baby mamas tweeting at him about how he's being a deadbeat dad and his company is collapsing, and, you know, people don't really like him anymore. The cyber trucks are getting pelted with Mardi Gras beads on Mardi Gras. And, you know, is it possible that he's looking around and thinking, maybe I botched this?
I see all these people trying to kind of layer some sort of coherence on top of what Trump is. And what fascism offers is you never need to be coherent. Admitting error makes the error real. And as long as you never cop to it, you can never be held accountable for it. So no, I don't think we'll ever get that from Elon Musk. I think that is too much resistance.
God, this is why I love hanging out with you, Lovett. You know,
sorry.
Because I got a little high on my Tamiflu. And the like 1/4 of a Xanax bar that I took.
Hell yeah.
And like I had a moment with that cocktail combination of thinking the Schadenfreude that I so want can be realized.
Here's what that allows for.
Okay.
It means that what we must do is clear, which is these people do not respond to argument, shame, political pressure. They have to be dominated. They have to be destroyed. And the beauty of that is, once they are, they live the rest of their lives powerless, explaining why they were right. And that is a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing to imagine. And that's what we're fighting for. Yeah, it's Medicaid, sure. But it's also that.
You don't really get this kind of material from Scott Van Pelt on the Real Score Sports Center. You know, you don't get that level of depth and that, you know, desire for your foes to be toppled once and for all. But, you know, that's why Speech Center offers something a little different.
Thanks as always to Tim Miller, like Jordan, playing with the flu. This was his flu game. Like, subscribe, leave us a comment. Speech Center's a hit. People are loving it, you know?
Yeah, if you say it, it is real.